Topic is establishing a minority franchise, and we have with us to talk about establishing a minority franchise, Mr. Roland Jones. And Mr. Jones, let me again thank you for coming by and giving us the kind of information that you're giving us, because I think that some of the things that you're talking about, a lot of folks never consider how very, very important they are in terms of having a desire to establish a franchise. Let's pick up where you left off.
Well, let's see, where did I leave off? Well,
you were talking about being among the upper echelon in terms of the McDonald's Corporation and et cetera. You see, being a minority within that framework.
Well, being a minority during that time is certainly different than being a minority now. Of course, back when I started, when I mentioned, washing the trash cans my first day, and being the only minority in the state of Virginia, and then less than a year later, being a general manager of a restaurant, in that same state, and couldn't even go to a dentist up the street when I had a horrible toothache because it didn't take color.
Okay, okay.
Today, things are different. It's a black man that owned 20 restaurants in the same area.
Okay.
Yeah. And so today, the playing field is not level.
Okay.
But
the challenges are much different.
The challenges are much different. And I think minorities bring a lot to the table because it brings diversification of thought. It brings diversification in terms of connection with the consumer base. And fortunately, I've owned 4 different franchises during my lifetime, in my career. And my book here, Standing Up and Standing Out, is about the title of it is. The subtitle is How a Team with a Few Black Men Changed the Face of McDonald's and Shook Up Corporate America.
Okay,
And it is about the collaboration and teamwork that took place among a few black men.
All right.
To overcome the obstacles in the system and how mutual beneficial outcomes were achieved as a result of overcoming those obstacles. And one of the key principles in here that is very important when it comes to franchising, that's collaboration and teamwork. A tremendous amount of collaboration is required between the franchisor and the franchisee. A tremendous amount of collaboration required between people at the corporate level on the franchisor side. A tremendous amount of collaboration is required among fellow franchisees because they do have, corporate marketing and purchasing associations for the various marketplaces. And as far as the getting into it and getting into the little political aspects of it, that's touchy. If you're not political, sometimes that's not the way to go because there's politics in particular the larger franchises. They don't always start that way, but they grow into that. And a larger franchise is good. I mean, those that have been around and established, they're very good, but they're
political.
Yeah, political. Where the smaller ones, you don't get the kind of service, and you have to work a lot harder. There's another book I have here, and I think it's very important. I mean, this, of course, Stand Up, Stand Out is my book. I recommend that to anybody.
And it's well worth recommending. I've read it.
Well, it's got all all the obstacles and how you overcome them and how to collaborate.
That's why we wanted you to talk about some of those things.
Well, it ends with my principle of standing up and standing out. And standing out is very important when it comes to growing as a franchisee. The franchisees, in the premium franchises, they got to stand out. They can't just blend in with everybody else. They got to stand out.
Well, that's about true in almost any profession. When you say that in order to be good, you got to be better than everybody else.
You've got to stand out.
Stand out.
And you know what? That's still true for us.
It is.
We're part of a minority group, and females in many cases. We have to stand out. And which is a good thing, because it brings out the best in you.
That's right. You have to be better than everybody else, because of whatever might be, and that is a great motivating factor. That really motivates.
And you have to get down to the nitty-gritty of work when you first open those franchises too. It takes a while to build an organization. It takes a while to have the capital. It takes money to do those things. If people say how much it costs to get in, you know, it costs a whole bunch of money to get in. I mean, you know, when I got into McDonald's back here, you know, it only cost like $206,000 what it was. And you know, today you're talking about, that's what back in, that's 30, almost 35 years
ago. And that was $206,000 at that time, 30,
And that wasn't one of the expensive ones. But see, that's just the beginning, because you have to have backup capital and all that. You can't go in undercapitalized. And another thing, you can't build wealth on borrowed money. So you
that's right.
So debt has to be to a minimum. But it's key for anybody that want to go into franchise and know how to select a franchise. And this is an interesting book here. It's called The Complete Idiot Guide for Franchise. It's by a gentleman by the name of James Amos. He's the one that made mailbox, etc. Put them on the map, and they ended up, I think, selling it to UPS. And he talks about all the franchises and what to expect, and what not to expect, and that kind of thing. It's just very good for people trying to make a decision. And it's very simple too in language where people can understand it. But most franchises are very basic, you know, and some of them are just basic, nitty-gritty, working hard, taking care of customers. And there's a customer contact level in everything we do. So my recommendation is for anybody that wants to get into franchising to be prepared to work hard. And one thing I need to mention here, that when you talk about establishing franchises, you know, experience is required to establish a franchise as a franchisor. Now, but minimum amount of experience is required. Just good old common sense and doing the kind of work you enjoy doing, and try to fit that to a franchise to become a franchisee. And if the system is done well, you follow that system and use good common sense, and it's what you enjoy doing, and you're good with people.
That's it. It's no position for a loner. It's no occupation for a loner.
I don't think so. I mean, you may have some franchises that require, you know, a couple employees or something, but
it's a people-oriented kind of thing. You got to bring those people into
It's a people-oriented kind of thing, because you got to work with the franchisor, you got to work together, you know, and you got to work with other franchisees, you know. And another area too is even there's a minimum amount of it, but there's some work required with vendors too, with suppliers. I mean, that's very important, you know. And so it really gives you a piece of all aspects of business, but you got somebody there to help you with. That's the most important thing about it.
Somebody help you put it together. All the pieces are out there, but unless you understand how the pieces interrelate and how they work together, then you're going to have a difficult time.
That's exactly
and of course, during this last minute, Mr. Jones, let me thank you for coming by and giving us that excellent information. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what we wanted, because we do know that there are some interest in people becoming involved in minority franchises and et cetera. And I think that if they are able to understand what we're saying here and what you're saying here today, then they'll have a better idea. And I was surprised in terms of how much money it actually takes to become involved in such an activity. And you said in the 1960s you were talking about $200,000, and it's almost, I would imagine, almost prohibitive for any one individual to think about becoming, and certainly some of the larger ones like the one that you started with, McDonald's. I mean, you have to have a group of individuals, I would imagine, to get together.
It's not a poor man's business.
It's not very good. But I certainly appreciate that, and I like what you gave us. I like the information that you gave us, and of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you, and good morning.